On Friday, hundreds of migrants made landfall in Kent after illegally crossing the English Channel. After the summer we've had, that's scarcely a headline anymore, but two things about Friday's beach landings were strikingly different and, I would argue, deserving of a lot more scrutiny than they've had. The first is that, according to our sources, those who landed were predominantly from Iraq. And the second is what those who landed then did. I want you to take a look at the pictures from Friday, if you would. Not individuals who are visibly elated to have survived a channel crossing being tenderly ushered away by Border Force officials. These were young men furtively heading off the beaches and inland, up country lanes, many of them keen to avoid identification by covering their faces. Well, why would refugees do this? Why would anyone confident that their asylum claim would be granted behave this way? The suggestion has to be that these young men wanted one thing, namely to disappear. It's hard to overestimate how potentially foolhardy it is for this to be allowed to happen. In the week these pictures were taken, a court on the other side of the Channel in Paris heard extraordinary accounts from survivors of the 2015 terrorist attacks on the Bataclan venue and others. 9 of the terrorists hid among refugees crossing into Europe, seemingly from Syria. There can be no suggestion that Friday's influx of Iraqis contained people who mean us harm, but it is frankly impossible to contradict anyone who suggests so, because we just do not know who these people are. Joining me now is Anne Giudicelli, the founder of the French security consultancy Terrorisk and a former senior advisor to the French Foreign Ministry. And thanks so much for joining us this evening. Thank you very much for your time. How important is it to the security of any nation, but particularly ones like France and the UK, that our borders are secure?
Well, you know, there is an agreement between the UK and France, which is called the 2K agreement, which has been signed many years ago, as you know, and so that means that France is committed to secure the border and to return all those migrants that would like to travel to UK. But it seems that there is some disagreement nowadays between the two governments due to the fact that the UK reproach that France is not doing the job in a way, and they refused, the British government refused to pay the amount of money which is part of the deal, the 2K deal. So let's say it's much more political. And the thing is, nowadays, as you know, we enter in a very critical period, which is political electoral presidential campaign, and immigration and illegal immigration is part of the main issue of the war between the candidates. And so let's say that regarding the migration coming from Afghanistan, I think we in France and part of Europe countries have, let's say, learn from the lessons. We learned the lessons from this situation in 2014 and 15. So we try not to do the same mistake with that migration new flu. And so it's a matter of coordination between the country, because let's say that's what precisely was missing during 2014 and 15, and hopefully an effort will be deployed for addressing this new issue.
And you mentioned those presidential elections coming up in April of next year. We did a profile only last week looking at what Eric Zemmour was saying and doing, and his extraordinary popularity in the polls, 17% popularity in the polls according to the latest polls last week. He's really come from nowhere. And his message is very much that sometimes immigration comes fraught with danger. There are many others who obviously take account of you and say that in a world of economic interdependency. Immigration is something that's needed by developed countries. It does seem to be a pressing electoral issue, and I just wonder whether it may be the case that you think that Emmanuel Macron has to establish his nationalistic credentials, and one easy way of doing that is by bashing Britain, or at the very least not helping us solve our migration crisis.
Well, immigration crisis is much more an European issue than a national issue. And so when you just say, like Zemmour, that we have to be very, very strong against this kind of migration flu, that just only, that has no sense, because it's European matter, because it's a coordination. And according to the number of migrants, of course, that cannot be handled by one country. So it's much more, let's say, propaganda and political talks than really a program. So Macron will do his best to resist this pressure. And maybe we can explain some of, discussion or speech he had recently due to that pressure. But at the end of the day, anyway, it's not a national issue. It's, as I said, the European one. So, and with also coordination with the neighboring country of Afghanistan, like Pakistan or all the, Turkey and so on.
Yeah. And Judy Shelley, we have to leave it there. Appreciate your time. Thanks very much.